Morning, guys. This is Dan with the Bullish Bears team. Just getting started with the morning stream here a little bit. I guess it's kind of on time. We like to start around 9:10 or so. So I'm just going to update the chat rooms, let everybody know in our trade rooms that we are live. And then we will review some stocks. Morning, guys. All right, so I think we're good to go here. I've got my watch list over here on the left-hand side today. And let's go through the setups and actions today. So this one needs no introduction today. Biggest gap around the gap scan, SSC. Pretty much a massive run to the 50% retracement level around 477. Pulled back. Was hoping that this would flag again, but we're in a consolidation pattern going into market open. We'll see how long this trades sideways for. And we'll look for this to pass some of these custom Fibonacci levels that I have set up here on the chart. We've got 477, 560, 643. We'll be watching all these different levels today to see how they do. I'm also looking at, this came up. Whoops. This one came up this morning. This had a nice gap up from a low of Friday, 846, to a high of 1054. So nice move on earnings. And you can see right here, I went back to 1818 all the way down to 738. And we'll be looking for this one to, excuse me, potentially run to the $11 range. We might have an ascending triangle setup, possible flat top kind of being formed here. We'll have to keep an eye on that. And I see there's some people having trouble, probably some new members joining today. We're getting a lot of new members that we're very happy about, but they're not sure where our live streaming page is. So I'm going to post that in the orange link. Anyone who wants to help with posting those orange links, that live streaming link, I greatly appreciate it, because I think it's just me and David in the room today. So hopefully that gets everybody up and moving on that. Black box, kind of a similar pop and drop consolidation pattern. And what you will see here is this is pulling back to the 50% retracement level. That's this orange line here. And we'll be looking for this maybe to get a, it looks like they're doing their, or they did their conference call at 8. It looks like the reaction wasn't that great. We'll have to see if this, pops again. I mean, so far it's heading back to the original trend, which is, somewhere around this 180 line. And that's what you see a lot of times on penny stocks, guys, is they gap up and they pull back, consolidate, and then they drift lower until they hit the original trend line support. So if we go out a couple days, you guys will see clearly what I'm talking about. Draw a trend line through all these candlesticks and moving averages, and eventually, shouldn't say all the time, but a lot of the times, if it's a pump and dump, it's going to pull right back to the original trend before it runs again. So that's an important piece of wisdom to know. That's why we never hold any of these. That's why we're very, very particular about what we take as a trade, and what we take as a swing. And you guys will see our swing trade list. We're looking at stocks like United Tech, 3M, and IBM are all good potential swing trades that we have on our watch list that we'll be watching for entries on. So we'll keep an eye on those today, see what they're doing. Let's see, what else do we have? We had YRD. This was on the gap scan today, and it's right up against this angular resistance on the hourly. It pretty much broke through and then pulled back with kind of a bearish harami pattern on the hourly chart. And if you go back way back, you can kind of see this has just been a massive wedge that it fell out of. Might be trying to make a rounded bottom here, break back out, and hopefully we'll see that today on YRD. That could be a really good one to trade. Good morning, Big Bear. I'm going to pause talking for just a second while I log into the trade room, or the other trade room, I should say. Guys, I rearranged the trade idea scanner again today a little bit. I had to make some room and get rid of a couple windows that I didn't find useful, just to get everything to fit. So make sure you guys familiarize yourself with that today. The windows might be in a little bit different place. Let's see, let's take a look. This is something I've been watching for a few days. Able. I like what it did pre-market and then pulled back. This might be somewhat of a angular momentum stock. It's in a bit of a symmetrical triangle right now, right here. And if you look at the daily, right now we're currently trending above the 50 SMA on the daily chart, which is around $5. And that is a really good sign, because typically we get some volatility up to 566 or higher. And right now we're right there at $5. So I really think that Able, ABIL, should be a good one to keep an eye on. Let's see. Yeah, be very careful with SSC. So there's some chatter in the chat room right now about this stock. I completely concur. I would be very, very careful with trading this stock today, because some of the news is questionable. They're trying to raise money. I heard something that maybe there's a Chinese company involved in funding. I didn't read the full report, but whenever news comes out, moves like this, David mentioned it in the trade room, this price action was ridiculous. I mean, that's a 100% gap up in the pre-market, and the volume is still a couple 100,000 shares. That's it, out of a 48 million float. So be very weary of this one. Right now, I think my favorites are, I still like this one. I like Able. We've got GEMP. This is kind of a low volume, slow mover that is kind of breaking out of the top of this triangle right now. CBM is on our watch list. That's the watch list we send out. MCF, SNCR, BLPH, all these have great patterns, which is why you'll see them on the list. YRD, I have AMD. I'll always have pretty much AMD on my watch list, because it typically you can get a 50 to 70 cent move out of this on any given day. SSKN is interesting. It got a little bit of a volume buy pop from a couple of buys and then some sells, so we'll have to keep an eye and see on this one if it gets some more follow through. But 250 is the area of resistance I'll be watching on that one going into the open. Yeah, so someone just asked about the trade idea screen share. It's live. It's just you're not going to see many of the windows updating. you're only going to see the really the gap scanner, which is in the left-hand corner, bottom left-hand corner, moving in the pre-market. That's really the one we pay attention to until the bell rings. And then a lot of these other windows will reset with new data. So you'll notice that the times on those windows say 4 p.m. ish. So those are, you know, expired windows that are just holding on to the old data. So just be aware of that. Always look at the time in each one of those windows on the Trade Ideas boxes, because they're you know, they're going to alert you to, you know, what time did it update. Important to point out. What else do we got for you guys? Pretty much all the chatter's on SSC right now, so I think what we'll end up doing is watching this as the bell rings. And as you can see right here, now we're starting to get some decent volume again. So you can see a lot of guys are taking positions on a 1 and 5 minute chart. You could really see it clearly on the 5 minute chart, huh? You can see how it pulled back to that 9 EMA, and now it's starting to get above VWAP. I guess we can clean up this pattern real quick. But essentially, you know, use the 1 and 5 minute charts for your day trading. At least the, you know, 1 and 3. I prefer the 1 and 5, but you want 2 different charts to really show you momentum and to help you get better entries and exits. So you're seeing it right now on the 5 minute and all of these moving averages. So this is one of the best scenarios that I enjoy going into the open, when all the moving averages, aside from the 200, you won't see this on gap ups up here typically, unless they gapped up the night before and they're trading sideways. But you've got the 50 SMA, the 9 and 20 EMA, and you have VWAP pretty much all tangled up going into the bell, which is great to give you kind of a bunch of rubber bands to bounce off of, a little trampoline boost into the open. I'm not going to buy the first candle no matter what, but maybe the second and third candle, depending on how candlestick close price behaves inside of all these moving averages. I'll take a position. And for you guys who are not familiar with what I'm talking about, I'm going to type in the chat room right now, Momentum Webinar. I just highlighted that orange for you guys. It's a hyperlink. You guys can watch that if you're new at your leisure to kind of get my strategy. I did a noisy webinar a while back on basically my momentum moving average rules system for trading momentum stocks on the 1 and 5 minute charts. So take the time and definitely take a look at that. So Creed is whispering to me about AMD, and let's see, I've kind of I deleted all my fibs on AMD, which I shouldn't have. I had really good ones on here, but just looking at the pattern, I would say that this is a massive ascending triangle. And we're currently kind of in the middle of it, a little bit on the hourly. We'll see if we get some momentum. Let's look at the 5 minute. You can pretty much see the room. Creed, I think you're right. I think the resistance is 2005, almost to a T. And then you've got that previous high last week at 2030. So I think that would be a smart play. I would just map out the trade ahead of time, right? So you got resistance there, you've got resistance there, possible flush. Look for AMD to flush back to 1950. Maybe get picked up a little bit around this 200 SMA on the 5 minute or VWAP, but just look for a little bit of a opening flush on AMD, and then maybe a pop So you could get a nice almost 50-cent move there. So David's saying SSC, exactly what I was talking about. So there's a little bit of a flush. 5-minute VWAP failed. And you can see right here, this is what you don't want to see going into the bell. We're 1 minute into the bell. It's going to be very choppy. Here's the major profit taking. Everyone else is... So this is it. Everyone's holding their breath while this trades sideways who bought all this. And don't forget all the bags that were trapped. I could say bag holders, because look at where they've been trapped from. $3. People were trapped from $3 here. And a lot of guys bought this 180, $2, 250 range, just waiting for that big pop. And I mean, look where we are right now. So you're going to probably see a lot. You're probably going to see a lot of shorts on this. And there we go. There's a bell. So we'll watch SSC. Interesting buy right there, but take it with a grain of salt. This is probably going to flush at least to 364. Maybe this lower VWAP right here I have highlighted. It's kind of like a oversold indicator. Black box is currently in a falling wedge, and might be testing the top of the falling wedge right now at the bell. So keep your eyes on that. So far we have a high wave. I'm going to shrink my watch list a little bit so we can really focus on these candles. So smart traders, new traders are not buying the first candle. My lower VWAP is set to negative. What is it set to? -2. 2 and 2. I basically left it standard. I don't have the upper band showing, but I'll show you guys that too. It just kind of compresses my chart a little bit more, and I don't like that. So I'm going to take it off. But I do like leaving the lower one on. Mainly because I know when to take profit. I'm very good at taking profit on momentum bullish patterns, but I really want to fine-tune my entries on reversals and get that entry set. Also for shorting, this lower VWAP line is very nice. It kind of coincides a little bit with RSI, but it's just helpful for me. So here we go. Let's see if we can get some candlestick closes. Really what I'd like to see is above 440. I know the moving averages are a little 20 cents lower, but I don't trust any of this resistance right in here. Basically 440, it was trapped underneath, right? Here's the little price box that this has been trading in. So we really want to see it get out of there. If you're comfortable with taking the risk around 390, 387, you can see right now the bulls are holding this line, but that could change in an instant. And candlestick close is what dictates that action, if you take any, right? So I'm watching some of these other chart patterns. YRD is getting some volume. That's from our watch list. Able getting a little bit of volume. I'm going to stay with SSC just to kind of show you guys and hopefully get a trade on this, as I think this has the most potential to really rip. I'm sure there's going to be a lot of shorts trying to pile on. It's interesting that this hasn't flushed quicker yet. That's very interesting to me. I'm going to throw another line on here at the high of day at 5:30-ish. So YRD from our watch list is really starting to run. I'm going to show you guys that briefly. You can see right here it's cleared the pre-market high. It's got a nice little volume base. It is approaching oversold, so it's not the best entry here, but what we might be witnessing is a decent daily setup here, where we've got kind of a megaphone pattern, and we could see this really go as high as 21.25 quickly, or maybe 21.50 slowly, and it's at 1933 right now. So pretty cool to see. Maybe we'll get a nice run on that. That's YRD. SSC, on the other hand, still trading sideways. I'm not seeing a good setup on that yet, and it looks like it's starting to fail here. Watch for candlestick close price to really close below this support at 386. All right, and let's take a look at black box. Black box this might actually run, guys, here. So I like this setup because it's a falling wedge, and it's testing the top of the wedge where VWAP is, and you have this 208 fib, which is about 62% that I have set up. And if we start getting closes above, I would expect 235 pretty easily. So right now I like black box the most. YRD is seeing some profit taking, not surprised there. SSC is doing nothing impressive. SSKN is actually hitting the high a day scanner. So this is one we talked about a little bit earlier. This isn't major volume, but it is a possible symmetrical triangle setup. You guys seeing this? Yeah, SSC is not looking interesting. I still have it up on one of my side charts. Right now your bull patterns, looks like black box didn't break out of that wedge yet. Black box I'm watching for a reversal setup, and SSKN, it's only up not quite 6% of the day. Let's see if it gets out of this triangle and makes a run. I think we might be able to nab a trade on that. So black box and SSKN are what I'm looking at. I'm also checking the high day scanner and the VWAP scanner. I did notice that TIVA crossed VWAP, so TIVA is making a bullish play, and TIVA is right at resistance. See that? Connect these points. You got 2262 above, which is some nice meat. Typically this gets some good volume. It's actually breaking out of a rising wedge to the possibly to the upside. So it looks like right where the high of day is right now on TIVA is where this stock is currently pinned at the top of this wedge. All right, back to SSKN. 5 minutes forming a bit of a high wave. Let's see if it gets a little bit tighter in this apex, but you could take some risk. If this is your risk reward, right? So your risk is pretty much anywhere in this tight box where the majority of price is kind of following these moving averages, and before it gets tight in the apex and either breaks down or breaks out, now you've got a position. But I'd like to see the volume trend kind of pick up. Looks like the volume's decreasing, so not liking that. So this is where you take the dark side of the market. I post a meme on our Instagram and Facebook last week, or was it over the weekend, with Darth Vader tempting you guys to the short side of the market. And this is kind of a great example of it, where a lot of these bullish patterns are not following through, or they're really just hitting the top of the bullish pattern or the bearish pattern and then just kind of staying within it or breaking down. So that presents a lot of opportunity. I'm just watching the VWAP scanner. I'm seeing Mankind breaking out on VWAP. And here's the falling wedge on Mankind. You've got the 9 EMA on the daily right there at 115. This has been oversold for quite a while, just really hovering around that 30 range. Don't expect anything big from Mankind, just checking it out. Black box, pretty much hanging tough inside the falling wedge right here. So it looks like support's around the 188 range, and resistance is about 10 cents above that. I want to see some follow through on one of these patterns. Possible ascending triangle setup right here on CM. I'm bouncing around a lot, guys, but over here I have all my other stocks that I'm watching. So I've kind of got one eye on those, and I'm waiting for one of these bullish patterns to break out. Last week we had a lot of thanks, Creed. Last week we had a lot of bullish patterns that didn't follow through, and it was pretty aggravating, to say the least. But I'm hoping this week is a little bit better. I mean, we had a couple that worked out, but that's why we got to be really picky. SSC, still nothing. Able, failed this pennant. It's not right now. It's trapped underneath that resistance, and it's probably in a down channel at this moment. Let's go through all of these really briefly. YRD pulled right back to support. I don't think this one's over. I watched this 200 SMA here. I think YRD could still be a grinder today, especially if it holds this bottom line here. You see this bottom trend line? Make sure you guys draw that. I don't like this tweezer top on the 5-minute, but the pattern's still there. IBM looks good, MM looks good, UTX looking okay. Really black box and CM, ascending triangle, black box, descending, falling wedge, and maybe SSKN if it can get its act together. So we're not quite 15 minutes into the market open, and really we've been range trading on a lot of these. But typically as we get closer to 10 o'clock, if we're going to get some bullish patterns to finally break out, they're going to happen. They're going to happen around that time, so we're going to be patient and wait. because you only need to make 1 or 2 good trades a day, depending on your account size and all of that stuff, to really make that first market hour count. And a lot of times, you know, as Lucian said many times before, you wait for these patterns to play out, prove themselves to you, prove their worth, that they're worth taking the trade on, worth taking the risk. I don't see anything worth taking the risk right now, with the exception of buying the bottom of a symmetrical triangle or the bottom of a falling wedge, but you've got a 10-cent reward only. That's it. You'd have to set your stop at 5 cents and your reward is 10 cents. So you could do that, but that's kind of crappy. I like getting, I know we talk about 2-to-1 ratios, but I like to see, you know, much better than that, you know, as high as 7-to-1. And you can get that. You can really find those setups. So interesting to watch. This stock has been just a beast. This is Canopy Growth Corp. You can see what's happening right now. This is trading outside of its tight channel right here, and it's got resistance around 35.85-ish. Nice volume, holding the 9 EMA, the 20 EMA. That's what I like to see. So this might be forming somewhat of a ascending triangle here. I'm going to actually add that to my watch list here. SSC still doing nothing. Abel's in the down channel. CVSI had a great day the other day, yeah. Oh, yeah. I don't know why I don't see that on the high-a-day scanner. So you got one flag right there. Possible second finishing. This could be a nice bull pennant. I'm going to throw some fibs on this one. Oh, I can't. Wow. I guess I could go way back. Wow, look at that chart. It doesn't even seem right to go back this far, but let's just put it on, and this will be the major. So 201 roughly down to 10 cents or so. So where's the major at? Oh, I gotta fix that. 10 cents. .10. Oh, I keep setting back to 18. Oh, I know why. $24. Yeah. Not likely, but at least this is in a good bull pennant right here. So this, I like the volume would be, well, I'd like it a little better if it was closer to 50 right now, but it's close. You've got some in the 40s, 50s. Would like to see this one play through. Still got one eye on black box. Kron's got a similar. Yeah, this one's a former runner from the last couple of days. You can see right here. Here we go. I got some action. Good call out, whoever called that. That was CW. Thanks, CW. That's why I love our trader, and we got so many good eyes on the market. So here we go. We got 711. Let's see. Let's dial this in really tight. Right to these wicks. Man, I guess it's like right there. It's right there. That's a nice volume base, but this is likely to slow down a little bit here. Maybe pull back to the 9 EMA. I mean, this is riding the 9 right here, pretty much perfect. I'm going to put that one off on my other window. Nice, nice. I'm going to check Trend Spider. Alright, let's check out Trend Spider. Let's turn the manual tuning off for a second. So on a daily chart, Bollinger Bands were pinching. Major breakouts happening here on this descending triangle. And this might be going for a ride today. Problem is there is a lot of angular resistance in this zone, which I don't like to see. But what I'm going to do is take a look at the 60-minute chart. I know why it's doing it. It's because I got all those lines. There we go. 60-minute chart. And compare it to the daily chart. And there we go. So that's interesting to see. We're going to lock that trend line. That's around 750-ish right there. And lastly, I'm going to go to the 5-minute and put the daily so that's too far zoomed in. I'll have to stick with the 60. So possible resistance up here, but there's a lot of other angular resistance to watch out for. I just figured I'd show you guys quickly how I kind of do that. But it looks like next resistance on my fib chart is 720 and then 750, so that kind of works out. Yeah, I know, right? I do like my trend lines, so can you ever have too many? If you're live streaming, yeah, because then you can't even read my chart. So you guys wouldn't believe what I normally do when I'm drawing trend lines. It gets kind of crazy. So SSKN, it's in a low volume lull in this triangle. Black box is not doing anything fantastic at the bottom of this wedge. Really just the only thing good is Cron right now, and CMCM is it looks like it might be breaking this ascending triangle. And it's hitting high a day. So you can see a nice volume kicker right here. And let's see, where's angular? It's got some angular resistance right there. Let's get rid of this orange line. So I'd like to see this one run today. Cheetah Mobile. Let's look at these hourly candles. Ah, it's still hanging tough. Yeah, this could be a good 50-cent trade right there. Yep, CGC broke that flat top right here. So I got all the support I needed from VWAP, 20 EMA, nice volume candles above 50,000 shares, and then that pop. And so now you've got an angular support here. Doesn't care about this trend line right now. Doesn't care about this one. So really the goal on this one to see would be, you gotta watch this level being overbought here, this high wave candle. You can see after a big pop, this thing is pulled back. So just wait for a pullback on this. The reward has already kind of happened. Unless you're gonna buy, see this had a nice green hammer right here. So if you want to enter, this could be a flag. Nice bull flag, pullback, perfect textbook hammer. You buy this candle, and then you're looking for one more wave. You got 1, 2, 3, and you'd be looking for your third wave to top out somewhere in this 33.88. But that's it. That's the signal right there, that green hammer. And that's where you take risk on this next candle. And there's your reward. Your stop would probably be, well, your stop would be really any candle that closes below this tail, or maybe inside of it. But you've got this run right here, and there you go. So watch this top trend line for resistance, but really the goal is to get up here. So this is perfect. This is what I like to see. Even though the volumes are a little bit light, a lot of uncertainty. That was a nice hammer. People are watching this stock. This one really moves. So Cron is still hanging tough at 710. I'm watching that off to my left. So if CGC is a little outside of your price range, guys, Cron has a bullish pattern setup and resistance at 720. CGC is following through. Nice follow through on CGC. That's what I like to see. We're close to 10 o'clock, so now we're starting to see some follow through. Still kind of a, you know, a lame first half hour, to quote Jake. That's, I think it kind of was, because we didn't get any good follow through on these. But now that we're closer to 10 o'clock, we're seeing some. I'm watching GEMP. Somebody called that out earlier as well. The volume's a little light, but so far Cron, CRON, and CGC are the current winners of the day. If you're talking about, you know, from the bell, not necessarily pre-market. Although this has moved up pretty nice since Friday's close. But there you are. This thing's moving up, holding that 9. You could also keep an eye on this on the 5-minute. Really, the 5-minute, a little bit of a high wave indecision. This might pull back 35 bucks It's a 40-cent drop here, just depending on how this 5-minute candle closes in the next 2 minutes. But so far so good. I mean, this hasn't closed below the 9 since 34.70. It's a nice move. Alright, black box has finally hit the support level that I've been waiting for. And it's the right time of day. So let's clean up this. Here's that 180 50% retracement level. Volume trend has been pretty much down with a couple of extreme moments. RSI is starting to curl up. Let's see if this starts to bounce off this 180 level. And then you've got obviously moving average resistance, but I'm really looking at the top of this channel as a resistance around 193 and maybe a bigger breakout. So black box, if you missed CGC and you missed CRON, which CRON is also pulling back and might have found support. You can see right here, pulled back to VWAP, got some decent volume. This might be the first wave finishing, and now we got the next wave. So watch CRON. It's in a bit of a rising wedge, but I like to see buying here at this level. For some continuation. SSC hanging tough. What's black box doing? Black box has still not really popped off this 180. But don't count this out. A lot of people are buying this 180 level for potential, 10 cent, 15 cent bounce. Let's look at CGC. Does look like it's slowing a little bit. Possible double top here and here. But it's also not really flushing like you would expect it to see. I think that's still being bought up. You can see these tails. So far the 9 is held. The problem might be that this 5-minute chart, this candle right here, well, that actually looks like a bullish candle. So no, I don't think the 5-minute looks too bad. It does seem like it's slowing a little bit. The volume trend is kind of a little bit down. RSI is starting to cool off. This will be the first candle that potentially closes below the 9 EMA since 9:45. So let's see what happens here. This might be a little bit of a flush. Potentially pull back all the way to VWAP or the bottom of this trend line. Because you got to think too, this thing's been running since 9 o'clock. So this thing has run for an hour. And it's pulled back on one nice wave. But it pretty much held VWAP in the bottom of this channel. So look for the bottom of the channel to hold here. And then another potential run to 35.88. So let's see, black box, cron. What's this one doing? Oh, all right, SSKN getting a little action. Not a lot, just a little. Would like to see it get out of this this triangle pattern. right here. It's still fanning out in a triangle. A lot of times you'll see these triangles and they start small. They start with here, 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 and it just keeps fanning out until it actually gets out of it. And that's kind of what's happening here with SSKN. But Cron's interesting here because it's holding the bottom of this channel really nice. So this is where you might see a pop. After 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 candles. So look for this candle to close above the 9 and signal the rush to 720. We're at 707 right now. So that's that. I'm going to look at LCI just because somebody requested I take a look. This one looks like it's trapped below. Wow, that's quite a gap down. That's a really big gap down and a very large low. Don't take your eyes off Cron though, guys. I want to try to get this there. It's kind of close. It's going to be off a little bit. I mean, this is just in the middle of a massive major retracement. Could be going lower. I probably missed something on this weekly. I probably could have gone to this, actually this one. Maybe I'll do that instead. Oh, you know what? There we go. What did I say? 150, I think, was the low. That makes more sense. So maybe 516 you'll see somewhere in the 510, 516. This could be drifting a little bit lower until it gets a pop. Goliath. I don't think it's ready yet. Here we go, Cron. Let's go, Cron. See 720. Would like to see 720. Still making its move. Nice 50,000 or so volume candles. So we got 722, 720. You might see some people chicken out here. But I think it's got a little bit further to go. Really need this volume candle to confirm it. Nice tight bid ask. People want to get filled at 715. Pretty much right at that previous high a day, so this could be making a little bit of a maybe cup and handle. There we go. There we go. Push. Yeah, I'm not sure, Big Bear 83. You should be able to load your studies at any rate. So here we go, 720. Should see some profit taking here. Still watching a couple other patterns off to the side on CMCM, and I'm still watching Black Box to see if it forges a 5-minute hammer here at 180. It's currently in a big bear flag on Black Box. So a little bit of imbalance between buyers and sellers here at this level, to be expected. So hopefully you took your profits on this little move. It was a small move, but at least it was a move. At least we got something with some follow through. CGC, I think it's still consolidating in, whoops. CGC looks like it's still setting up an ascending triangle. Could be a little bit lower right here. Yeah, it looks like it broke this one already. You could see this one broke. So the next support would be here at around 35.15, 16. So if you want, set an alert with your drawing. Right click on your drawing, click create alert. You can do that with TrendSpider too. You can set alerts with drawing. If you can't do that on your current broker, then you want to have Thinkorswim or TrendSpider to do that. I highly recommend that. It's a great habit to get into. Yeah, triple witching, quad witching are special times of year where you've got multiple option contract rollover, and you will see stocks in the market get pinned on those dates. So I'm going to show you guys a link real quick. Here's a quad witching post. Yep, so look for Cron to pull back again to this area. Now we are kind of in a rising wedge, so that makes I would maybe look at this to form an inverse head and shoulders maybe a little bit. This could kind of be a left shoulder, right shoulder. Possible. Cup and handle. So we've got some possible bullish patterns within this rising wedge, which is bullish until it's not, until it spills out of it. So we'll watch this trend line pretty close. I think Black Box, you're going to see a potential squeeze coming because this 180 line in the sand has not flushed yet. The bulls are still holding it, and you just got to wait for a volume pop to get a bunch of people to cover, maybe even all the way to VWAP. Almost $2, maybe more. So one eyeball on that. Cron still doing well. CGC doing really well here, breaking the top of the ascending triangle again. So this might be profit time. This might be profit time up around 35.88 for this. That's a nice volume candle right here. A couple really nice ones off the 20 EMA. So we might get some follow through. We actually might push right through this fib to 36. I think that's very likely at this point. And we're still in this widening megaphone pattern. Whoops. Come on, Dan. There you go. You guys see it? 1, 2, 3. We could potentially hit somewhere up here today on this pattern. So this one's continuing. Cron is still holding the bottom of this trend line. Very important. And that's really it. The high day scanner's kind of been quiet since the last 15 minutes. Oh yeah, I'm not even looking at. I should have put this on my watch list. CVSI. So CVSI. Let's see. Oh, I should have my camera working now. Can you guys see me? Fix my hat. Oh, there I am. Good. Let me move this over this way. So, CVSI. Moving up, moving up, moving up. 810, 811. 810, 811. Riding the top of this resistance trend line. A lot of sellers right here at the top of this channel. Let me get this crossed over. And CVSI is nice. Especially when it broke that trend line right there. Whoops, the one I just deleted. This one right here. Ah, I keep hitting the wrong button. There you go. So once it broke that trend line, it's really in this rising wedge and it keeps pushing out. So we got 3 C's. We got Cron, CGC, and CVSI all looking pretty money right now. These are the money plays with the right patterns, with good follow through. You do? Yeah, this is one of my favorite patterns, drawings, paintings. Makes me feel calm and peaceful. I love the sea. I don't live too far from the Connecticut shore. My dad's been a fisherman well, we both have. Well, he has for 40 years, and he retired from his main job, his company, and he got his captain's license for fun, just to like do what he loves to do and still make a little money. So he charter boats out of New London. So if anybody's looking for a charter anytime and wants to go out and have a great day catching tuna, stripers, I will give my dad, Captain Steve, a plug. I can hook you guys up. So Cron still moving, bottom of this trend line. I like this. I really like this a lot right here. See if this gets a pop off this 20 EMA. Pretty much CVSI. It's these are the only bull patterns that I'm seeing. Oh, looks like black box might get some covering. Maybe. This black box, yeah. Let's look at the 5-minute chart. I'd like to see black box start to start to cover here soon. I'm just going to clear my drawing set real quick so you guys can see it. Right, so here's resistance, here is support. See how this falling wedge is getting tighter and tighter and tighter? Well, that's where you wait and lurk and stalk your stock. I would love that, Big Bear. As this gets tighter, you're going to potentially see an opportunity to make a trade. SSC is still not really found support. Maybe the 50 SMA in the 5 minute. Maybe this 311, but the trend is down still. So I don't see a good long here yet. I'm surprised this hasn't pulled back further, but remember I told you guys about the trend is your friend. You can see right here, I mean, this original momentum could send this all the way back to like 228. So you really have to be careful trading these stocks. This has pretty much just been a huge epic short, and the Bears are in control. So Kron's still holding on, and might actually be starting to spill out. Let me see here. Yeah, looks like 720. Look for this to maybe change its pattern now to an ascending triangle. Let's see, you got angular support here. You got your, let's remove this. So there's your flat top. So it's technically, get rid of these. Technically still an ascending triangle right in here. We'll see if that breaks out. Looks like it's pulling back further to VWAP, and it could pull back all the way back down here to 689 or a little bit lower. What do we got? CVSI. CVSI might be done pulling back here. Let's look at this. There you go. We got another ascending triangle on CVSI. Yeah, black box is still falling. Wedge is gonna be falling until they're not. So we'll wait for this to kind of set up. Just be patient. It's still early. It's 10:22. This could fall a little bit lower. Just got to see a good pattern, just a good reversal. Green hammer. I mean, this was one, but it failed. It is below that 180, which is kind of interesting. All right, because 180 was the 50%. So, but that's got a nice range for a possible trade later. Kron is still holding on. Looking a little weak. Oops. CGC pretty much hit our target of 35.88 and 30.36. So there you go. Just checking my scanner screen. Looking at the volume on this one. See that 9 EMA is right there at 351, and we're at 3. Possible this one makes a run for it. Obviously, I'm very picky about volume. Being below 50,000, because you could just get trapped in a slow mover. But this came up on the surging volume, so it's got high relative volume for its typical chart. So you never know, this one could turn into a runner today. So I'm going to throw this one on my watch. The parabolic mover scanner is really quiet because there's no crazy volume anywhere. There just isn't. Cron is still hanging on. CVSI is still hanging on. It pulled back to that bottom trend line. Look at this. Look at CVSI. About to flat top breakout. There it is. I gotta try to get this chart better. Let's see. $16.08. We're just looking at a lot of these, trying to find the last time this thing really, 442, 593. This one's hard to draw fibs on because it's just been such a dead stock for so long. But man, look at that hourly. This could still drift a little bit higher today. See if this one breaks out to the upside. Looks like SSC getting some volume here. 100,000 shares, 140,000 shares. You got the 50 SMA, 200 SMA. Look for this crossover. And VWAP is up around 358. So we might be watching a VWAP play right now. See if this follows through. Still watching CVSI and Cron. Those are in a ascending triangle still. They're very close to failing and presenting pretty good short opportunities if they do fail. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2. Cron's looking a little bit better than CVSI. CVSI has trend line resistance that it's struggling from back here. This whole top channel is holding it down as well. So with two different types of resistance, this could be offering a good short, and at which case you would want to go for, again, I like that 50% retracement back to the breakout. So that would be around 735. That's a nice short. That's a nice short if this breaks down. That's CVSI. You guys are still watching Black Box. I am too. I'm hoping it gets picked up. It's pretty close to that original trend line that we like to see. So if you go all the way back here, draw a line through, or all the way back here, draw a line through, the falling wedge is pretty much right there. Just barely touched on a 5-minute chart the 30 line on RSI. Yeah, Black Box does look like a good setup. CVSI looks like a double top to me, guys, because it also broke our rising wedge here. Even though this is a 5-minute green candle, I'm thinking that this pulls back at least a VWAP, 50 SMA, and then it's got quite a ways to drop. This thing has a long ways to drop. Let's see, how many days does this run? We got 1, 2, 3, 4. I mean, it pulled back on this day in the morning, and then ran 1, 2, 3, 4. So fourth day, really big finish. I could see this one offering a good short. Let's see, where is it? Back up to CMCM. This one's still in a rising wedge setup. Not quite there to that $11 1094 range, but if it does, that could be, this could be a good winner here. It looks like 1065. Well, really the high of day. That was a nice buying volume to hit that high of day. So there might be a good dip buy on this in a little bit. Let this pull back to let VWAP catch up, or let it test the bottom of this trend line again. Let's see. That's actually the current one that's holding it up. Right there. Yeah, maybe it comes early. $11. I see some chatter from you guys about AMD. Yep, looks like it's making a rounded bottom, 50 SMA crossover, VWAP next. That's usually when it gets good. You can see how this will almost always pull back like that, Either it runs right from the get-go, pulls back, or it drops pre-market, open, and then you've got that 70-cent range. So if you go from AMD low Friday 1873, there's your support. This other line is a major hourly support. Right, there's your major hourly support, holding it up. And big old ascending triangle. Hourly candle looks pretty dang nice right there. And 5-minute chart looks nice, bouncing off of oversold. So you could get your reward is really all the way up to 2005, which is Creed. That was your original target. Yeah, AMD does. It has great range trading, reversals. Great bid-ask spread of a penny. You can't ask for much better than that. High volume. It's just if you guys are new and want to, you know, test your pattern strategies, you know, with 100 shares or paper trade. Obviously paper trade first, but what a great stock to buy 100 shares of and just learn learn these patterns and movements, and, you know, make a couple bucks while you do it. TOWR. Yeah, so, you know, a stock like AMD much more reliable to trade day after day versus some of the crazy volatile ones we're trying to capture. So Tower is just riding the 9. And broke out of a, man, it's kind of like an inverse. Oh, that kind of failed. Let's see. It looks like this is a kind of a flat top breakout. Let's see, where's resistance? Oh, look at that. So this is pretty nice. So swing traders and day traders can both pay attention to this one, because you have your top angular resistance right up here, right up in this zone, and you have a good daily support down here. Then you have your next angular support is really right there, right on that line, and then you've got pretty much all of this consolidation, pull back to the 50, ton of time on the 50, and then you got, just like in day trading, you got the 9, even though it's a daily chart, you've got the 9, 20, and 50 all bundled up, and you've got resistance right here, and it really is like an ascending flat top breakout with room to run. Might take a couple days, or might get it over and done with quick to 37.50 area, right? I mean, this absolutely needs to pull back, and this was kind of a head, shoulder, shoulder. Sometimes you got to even though it's not super clean, but you've got this rounded, and you'll see these patterns play out pretty well sometimes. So this was kind of the resistance spot, and this was kind of the resistance spot, and then once it broke that line, boom, up we go. So very overextended, but emotional buying after being trapped underneath this pattern. And you know, if you want to try to, so you can set your risk here. This is a good risk management example, because all you have to do is set your limit order at the 9 EMA or just above it, penny or two above it, you know, 35.42, get filled, And then if this continues to grind up the 9, great. If it breaks down, not as great, but you managed your risk well. Personally, I don't like to chase these, and I would wait for a pullback to this trend line. You know, either pullback like this, like this, like this. But this is the original trend before the volume breakout. And those are your two options on a stock like that. So good eye on Tower. A lot of consecutive candles on that. Cron is fanning out. Broke that trend line. It might be fanning out further to here, to here. Could go fan all the way out to there. I don't really see a good buy on Cron, although it looks like for right now, support on Cron, pretty solid support right around 705. So potential buy zone there. Risk the 720. Ascending triangle might form again on Cron. CVSI still bearish since it broke this. Might be doing something similar. We'll see if VWAP holds it out, but if this loses VWAP on CVSI, I would expect it to pull back to this lower VWAP, which is this yellow line down here. But we'll see if they save it right here. We got a lot of convergence of moving averages. The 9, the 20, the 50 VWAP. That's a setup I like to see for either a breakout or breakdown. CGC still hanging around the high a day. Still could move all the way up. Let's extend this to the right. Extend this to the right. I mean, it can go anywhere up here today with this kind of volume. You know, 1, 2, 3, maybe a fourth touch. That would be really nice. Yeah, SSC can't really put it together. You got to think too, the stock's still up 60% for the day. So let's see, what's the hourly candles like? Kind of a bearish Harami. 311 is really trying to hang on that one. Black box is still disappointing. Let's see, CVSI found support at VWAP. Cron is still trading in that range. Yeah, so basically you have decent patterns right now on CVSI, Cron, CGC, SSC, and CMCM. So lots of C's. Right? We'll go through those real quick. CGC holding that bottom trend line, about to maybe break out again. CVSI held VWAP. I then drew this trend line to here, because now we have a possible channel on this to watch out for, to see if it respects. And there's Cron, still trading in this range from 705 to 720. When this breaks out, that's where the 750 move comes. So right now I would be really looking at Cron for the best entry. This is the best setup at this moment. on any of the charts that I'm watching. I've got 6 of them up. Unless you guys see something better. Cron looks like the best setup right now, because it's just an ascending triangle. It's a bull pattern. Very simple. And it's in a megaphone, widening, kind of inverse falling wedge. I wouldn't add cron. Maybe if it broke out and then pull back, because usually what you'll see is a flat top will break out and then pull back. So if you were going to add cron, you'd want to add cron close to the bottom of this range, which is 705, or get filled at the 950 or 20. And again, if the trade doesn't work out, you know right away, because you have 705 as a stop. You know, anything below that as a stop. That means this bull pattern broke down. Your timing wasn't right. You know, did you do anything wrong? No. The trade just didn't work out. So some trades don't work out and you don't do anything wrong. That doesn't mean you were wrong, because it doesn't matter if you're right or wrong with trading. It matters if you can make money and limit your risk and set an appropriate stop. So I will comment on that in a minute. So, you know, basically what you've got, moving averages are bullish, pattern is bullish, channel is bullish, volume is bullish, RSI is in an okay area for, potential buy. You know, RSI is kind of trading in this triangle as well. And so there's no really divergence here. This is just there's no divergent indicators. This is just a good, even the 5-minute chart. Look at the 5-minute holding that 9. Not one close below the 9 EMA in a 5-minute. Momentum is still for the bulls for now. And it might take a little bit longer to this ascending triangle could form all day. You might not have all day. See you, Big Bear. You might not have all day, so you might have to stop out. If you get stuck in a trade that's trading sideways, you might have to stop out. You know, I've had that happen where I have made trades and it took too long and I had an appointment, and so I had to close it at either at a loss or a small win or break even. But that's, that's trading. It's kind of how it goes. So, this is where you accumulate, where you can limit your risk. You can't limit your risk anywhere else right now other than the moving averages or this orange line, which is the range that we're trading in. So that's something that you guys really, really need to get ingrained in your mind. And if it goes against you, it's just an ascending triangle that didn't work out. There's a lot of bull patterns that don't work out. And that's just the nature of the beast. You got to accept that you're not going to have every pattern work out. Doesn't mean that you're wrong. Again, it just means, hey, it didn't work out. You were actually still right to manage your risk in a proper way. So CVSI, which I thought was going to be potential really good short if it lost VWAP, is now forming an inverse head and shoulders. So we've got head, right shoulder, left shoulder, nice and rounded, and you've got the high a day, all this resistance right here, and if it breaks out from this, you could see a nice little pop. I really like inverse head and shoulders, especially in either ascending wedge or triangle. So the only problem I have with this trade with CVSI is I don't know where this thing is going to, because I can't get my fibs drawn right. And I mean, look, this is resistance way down here. So so that's CVSI. High a day got hit again right here. CVSI high a day hit. Cron still trading sideways. This one's still sideways. Tower pulled back. Somebody asked me to look at that earlier. Black box is still falling wedge with no volume. SSC is still holding that 311 range, trying to put something together for maybe a run to VWAP or 364. And now somebody mentioned HMNY, which is 3 cents, and I would expect them to be just delisted or maybe another reverse split. I don't know if they file for Chapter 11, if they can, you know, it might get a pop from that. Sometimes you see that work in favor for the company, and then they end up getting their act together. But you know, this is not a stock that I would speculate on at all. This one is like just a literal, just pretty much pump and dump. A lot of emotional buying and horrible technicals and horrible financials and so on and so forth. So if you own shares, I'm sorry for you. And if you're looking at news on a 3 cent stock like this, to save it or help it and maybe buy because of it, I would say don't. I would say put your money somewhere else. All right, Hawaii Trader. Awesome. I am very glad to hear that. Hawaii Trader, you the trader that emailed us the other day that I had that nice conversation with? Somebody emailed us from Hawaii the other day, and they said some very nice things. Okay. So it was another different person. So let's get off of this. What's going on with CVSI? 823, still respecting the top of this trend line. I'm going to get rid of my studies real quick, so that I like to do this especially at this time of day so that you guys can see the patterns and go, oh yeah, that makes sense, right? So that's why I extend all my charts into the future, because these trend lines will intersect, and that's where price will get tight, and then you watch for the right candlestick setup and volume. RX Trade, good question. Oh yeah, Hawaii Trader, yes you are. You're grandfathered in. You guys are all grandfathered in forever, unless you cancel. RX Trade, for fast-moving stocks, only do a market order if the bid and ask is very tight and is consistently very tight. You know, penny or two. Oh yeah, gotcha, Hawaii Trader. Thanks. I took you seriously because we get that question a lot. As Lucian has said, that's a pretty common question still, although we've been pretty blunt about it. No, that's fine. That made me laugh. Thank you. So yeah, RX Trade, market orders, typically not. We're usually using hotkeys, and we're typically advocates of limit orders to get filled in the right spot. I do see SSKN as well breaking. Black box. So it looks like a lot of patterns that are setting up are finally starting to, or have been setting up, are finally starting to come together. Black box, SSKN. Here you go. Here's your ascending on SSKN. Problem is the volume dies down after these candle buys, so I would, yeah, pretty much, Creed. Don't give the market your money. You want to take it. That's what we're all about teaching you guys. So we need like a really solid volume base and trend on SSKN to present a buy. I don't see it. Black box is still falling wedge. Excuse me. SSC still holding that 311. Yeah, it's not, it can't seem to get its act together. This could, you know, this one's just, you don't want to get trapped in the stock. Look how long it's been trading in this range. And, there's the range, right? There's the range. DTD, just trading sideways. Super boring. Maybe buy the bottom, sell this top. If it goes back down here, you could buy 290s and sell 325. Maybe. If you want to take an hour for it to do that, it's pretty much telling you it's going to trade in that particular pattern. So I really don't like it until it breaks, actually it's right about here, 330. So if it breaks 330 on a inverse head and shoulders setup, or just a good candlestick reversal setup, I don't know, maybe this hourly candle in the next few minutes forms a hammer, a green hammer at 330, then you would maybe buy the 11 o'clock candle if it gets above this 330 range, right? So until then, let me remove one of those. Until then, you look at those candles and just see what's what. So CVSI still trading in that wedge. CGC looks like it's finally consolidating. Maybe a head and shoulders forming for a pullback. Cron is still telling you I'm gonna hold 705, and if you buy 705 you should sell 715, maybe as high as 720. But that's why the moving averages are taken away at this point, guys, and just show you guys the ranges, the patterns, the volume trends. And you know, it's the time of day. It's 11 o'clock, so you can trade these lazy trades. Just get a good candle. You know, this is a pretty nice hammer. Buy this next candle, and you could see right in here, 1, 2, 3 touches of 707, and now you're at 713 already. So find these stocks that are trading in these consolidation patterns. Guess what's going to happen at the end of the day? At the end of the day, with a stock like this, it's either going to go up to this. I mean, it could trade sideways, but it has great potential if it's trading all morning, potentially most of the day in a range like that. Look for an end of day breakout, you know, continuation breakout. So Yeah, August does suck, Lone Wolf. You're absolutely right. But it doesn't suck in the sense that it's a good opportunity if you're new and learning that patterns, buying and selling signals, they're very methodical and you can learn them and you can manage your risk that way and you can be prepared for when the volume comes back to the market and the small caps start running again, or just, you know, great shorting opportunities. It's also great shorting opportunities. There's a ton of them. So all these bull patterns that don't follow through, well, you take the other side of it and you short. But, you know, where are we right now? The whole market wants to know, are we going to test 2878 again? Are we going to form a double top? Are we just going to continue in this channel to 3,000? I'm hoping we continue in this channel to 3,000. That would be really epic for the fall. Awesome. I think you were talking to me, not Dave. You said, just to clarify, when looking for a place to buy in, do you look at a good pattern with no moving averages overhead? Not always. Sometimes, let me see if I can give an example of Cron. Let's see. Let's go to this one. So you might have, like on Cron, the 9, 20, 50, 200 are all below on the daily. Let's look at SB. Here we go. There's a good example. So SB on the daily, the 9 EMA is up there at 350, and everything else is pretty much tangled up, which is a really good setup, provided there's volume and a reason to buy and all that other stuff. You know, is the bull pattern going to break out or not? But you know, sometimes I'll buy intraday at VWAP with the 9, 20, and 50, like right here on CVSI, all above it. So don't get caught up in those moving averages. I would get more caught up in the patterns. I would really focus on the patterns and go, oh, there's my trend line, there's my entry, there's my hammer. Yeah, I got the 9 and 20 above, but at least I can manage my risk that way. And if they smack it down, they're more likely not going to smack it down in a bullish pattern like this versus, and just to show you, right? So there's the 9, 20, and 50 all around 775. So they were right in here. And because this was a bullish pattern until it breaks down, then you had the likelihood of a successful trade. I hope that makes sense. Cool. Black box. Well, what have we been waiting for all day? Couple little volume candles around that 180, and we're out of the wedge. See that trend line picked it up and pushed it out. We're getting pushed out of the wedge right now on black box. Let's see. So we might see some shorts covering going into lunch, right? Lunchtime, trend line, falling wedge. Let's find, let's just look at where VWAP is. VWAP is 195. So maybe a 15-cent short cover rally. Maybe. Very slow mover. RSI's pointing up. You could maybe get it. Could maybe get it if you got some time. If you got some time on your hands, you might be able to take this trade on Black Box. But I would like to see, with authority, some volume come in and really overtake this 180 range, which it hasn't yet. And realistically, 185 is still right. That it spent a lot of time in that range as well. But this could be a left shoulder head, right shoulder, then a breakout. So draw your box at 180, 190. Get your horizontal trend lines on there. And what you want to see happen is you want to see this be a shoulder, this kind of head, and then maybe another shoulder like this, and then maybe by 1 o'clock you get the short cover rally, because you might end up trading inside this box for longer than you feel like, and you don't want to get trapped. Difference between SPY. So SPY is the ETF, right? The S&P 500 ETF. And pattern-wise, they do look the same, right? There's that big channel, and here's ES, right? Pretty much the same type of channel. Futures, just, you know, we have a futures room, and that's trades more around the clock than SPY. You know, SPY opens the same time as the rest of the stocks do. So that's pretty much it. Futures are traded heavily by the world. SPY is too, but SPY is the ETF, and you can use both chart patterns to kind of gauge market direction and sentiment, which is really just, you know, it's semi-bullish right now, and you're seeing it in the large cap stocks. They're all following pretty much the same pattern as SPY and futures. So it's just small caps are not getting much love right now. Yep, so it's about 11 o'clock, guys. I'm going to end the stream. I am going to be around most of the day in the trade room. I got a lot of emails to answer, because Lucian is taking a little break for a couple days. He should be back, I think he's coming back, he should be streaming Thursday and Friday. So I think I have tomorrow and Wednesday for you guys. Yeah. Yep. Maybe we ban the next person who asks if they're grandfathered in. No. We're not being like that. I'll check AMD real quick for you guys before I go. You're not wrong. AMD does look good. Off the bottom of that, this is that major hourly. Let me get rid of this. This is that major hourly trend line. And you could see how you've got, this is the textbook cup and handle. Look at this picture right here, and then whoops, and then look at here, I'll put it right side by side, right? Boom, boom, there's that, there's that, there's that entry. So your entry's coming up right here. So isn't that nice? Love it when the wallpaper tells you exactly what to do. So yeah, always nice to have another set of eyes, and nothing wrong with taking this trade right here. and you got till 1980. Maybe even make a red to green move today, as AMD loves to do. Loves to make these cup and handles and then break out. You can see one right here, kind of. Boom. Nice little run, hits a high, pulls back. Right? So that's all I got for you guys for now. Maybe Power Hour, do some streaming later today, but I'll be in and out of the trade room, going to answer some emails, take care of some business, and I'll be keeping an eye on things. And I hope you guys enjoyed the stream. Again, I might do another one a little bit later. You guys are very welcome. We'll touch base with you all in a little bit.